So I heard you want to know what it's like to date abroad. hmm Well, let's talk about it. My name is Glow. I have been to over 100 countries across 6 continents in the last 13 years. So I know a little something about dating abroad, and I even found my person while traveling. I am mindful that, especially the title of this video, you clicked for a reason. I do not want to insult any American men. I am only going to share from my experience dating as a Black person in the US and abroad. I might mention some of the countries that I was in, just so you know that it might be more of a cultural thing versus a all international men thing. But yeah, overall, these are just some lessons, observations, and interesting things to consider if you don't even have to be looking for marriage or looking for your person. You're just curious. You haven't had luck in your hometown, in your home state, and you're open to seeing what's out there. So, first thing that I realized is how they see you versus how they assume you back home versus abroad. In the US, I felt like people assumed what kind of a Black girl I would be just because, okay, how I dressed, how I spoke, how I looked. And it was almost like there was a projection before I had the chance or opportunity to prove I'm this type of a person. And oftentimes, and this might be a minority thing, but Black girls, there's like two buckets. You're like a baddie or a nerd. I don't know. And I guess average. But it's like you're either a baddie or you're not. I was not a baddie. I was very much average, if not below average, especially middle school. This is not reeling for pity, so please don't take it as that. I'm just very realistic. I was much heavier. I had chipmunk cheeks. I had a big gap, buck teeth. I was just big. I was like a late bloomer, and I'm actually very grateful for that because when I look back, I would have been a problem. If like, yeah, I'm like grateful that I was delayed in coming into my skin because I got to prioritize myself, find my passions, build a career, and really work on myself and heal before putting myself out there in the dating world, which is super important. You cannot be trying to find something in someone when you don't have that yourself. And it's very cliche for people to say, be the person that you're looking for. But truly, you cannot expect a man or a woman to check all the boxes of things that you have yet to address. So I realized that there was a level of a blank slate that I was often afforded when I was dating internationally. And I don't know if it's because they have limited experience with Black women, or they have a limited perception of Black women, or they've seen a couple movies with a couple Black girls, and it's like, oh, I know they exist. And I'm not talking about the fetish culture and the fetish scene. That's another video because that absolutely exists, and there are very clear signs where you could tell you're being fetishized. But it's almost like there's a curiosity that feels genuine and sincere, and you kind of get to show up as who you are now versus who the culture is telling you to be in this, cultural era. There's so many pop cultural moments and trends that happen and often shape the way we show up in our lives and in the dating world. And so it's almost like I got to remove myself from that and just be like, I'm an individual. And if you're curious, you can get to know me as a person, not the Black collective at large. And I found that to be really refreshing. I didn't even realize that, yeah. And I say all this with the caveat because I want to mention that I didn't think non-Black men were attracted to me. I never had that sign or signal or memo. I think especially if you're a girl, at an early age, you kind of know whether you're attractive or not. And again, I am just speaking matter of factly. This is not me being self-deprecating. This is like G Money was my nickname. So it was like, yo, G Money, what's up with your friend, Sally? Yo, I'm trying to get at your girl, Alex. I was the girl that the guys came to to hit on my friends. I was never the hit on recipient. Okay. So I very quickly learned my place in the dating world growing up, teenage, pubescent years. And I just kind of accepted it. I was like, well, at least I can play the liaison and, they like my personality. And I was a tomboy. I played basketball, tennis, softball. So yeah, I wasn't even thinking about guys like that. So yeah, you grow up and you kind of in the movies, I think it was Cinderella with Brandy, where the prince was an Asian man. And I think that was the first movie I was like, "Huh, we can do that." We can do that. I was like, interesting. And they look good together. I was like, I didn't know that was possible. And even though growing up in California, I didn't see many interracial couples. And if I did, it was the man was black and the woman was white, Latina, whatever. So yeah, I just never saw black women not dating black men. Yeah. So I just always thought like, oh, I'm obviously going to marry a black guy. And so you get to high school, you get to college, and you're like, okay, they're still not choosing me. I'll just wait. And, they're making their rounds to all the popular girls. And I'm like, okay, I'll just, you know, not that I was like waiting my turn, but I was just like, oh, maybe they'll get bored. Maybe they'll get tired. Maybe they'll see that my personality is so great. But I was like, oh, they're not circling the block or they're not coming back around. They're married, they're moving, they got a kid. So lives are being lived and people, went off with each other. So yeah, I just never had that experience of being chosen for many years. I was probably in my early 20s where I got the first attention of like actual attention, like, oh, I think he's flirting with me. And when I studied abroad in the UK, I was 22. And I was also like, pub culture is huge in the UK. And fun fact, I started drinking because of like the fact that I would be studying abroad. And all I knew about the UK at that point was that they love to drink. And I wanted to represent America well. So picked up drinking and then fast forward 10 years, I stopped drinking. But anyways, I'm at a club and we're with like the study abroad students and there's a guy, he's white, he's Irish, and he's like, looking at me and pointing at me and kind of like, flirting, but I'm so when imagine the coach putting you in the game, you ain't even got a uniform on. That was me. I don't even know how to strap my laces. I'm like, oh, so I was so new to the game of like flirting and, oh, is this male attention? Ooh, this is nice. This is different. But of course, it's being directed at me. I don't think it's for me. So I keep looking like, who can I get for you? Like, what's all this about? Let me know. And he's like, no, no, it's you. It's you. Like, and I'm flustered, embarrassed, and very awkward because I'm like, this is a kind of nice feeling. And even though we're probably now in a culture where we're talking about decentering men, when you've never gotten male attention or the male gaze only came from construction workers, it is a very different feeling when someone who is conventionally attractive is signaling, like, hey, I want to talk to you. So, yeah, I was like, that was the first time I'm like, huh, this is interesting and different. I'm like, is it possible? Is this yeah, so but I started to there was like a trend. Again, I'm now early 20s, now into my mid 20s, getting into my late 20s, and the trend picked up. I was getting hit on more by non-black men than black men. And even when I was traveling, I'm on the continent, everyone is black, the motherland, that's different. But in general, I would say the ratio, if there was a club of 10 black guys and 10 white European, other Asian, Indian, I would say 80% was like the other, and then 20% was black guys. And I'm also going to say this before I move on to the next one because it and this video is already a stretch. I was very nervous to make it because it's a public forum, and I know that many of you have wanted me to talk about dating abroad. And I've been nervous because, yeah, it's just, it's a public. So what I actually did is I created a space called The Room. So that is where I'm going to put all of my dating love stories, um, dating app tips, all that kind of stuff. So we can have like kind of like a private chat, but it's more of a safe space where I can be a little bit more unfiltered. Okay. So that information is going to be in the video description or at the end of this video. And yeah, so I just recognized, I'm like, okay, so maybe I should be more open-minded. Even though I didn't feel like non-Black men were attracted to me, they seem to now be, desiring me, which leads to the second thing. Um, the pace felt more intentional than with American men, specifically, well, not specifically, but just American men. And even though I didn't have much experience with American men, when I did go back to the US for a couple years in my early 30s, this is also what I'm comparing it to. But there was one country in particular where, a guy asked me out, and it was very much like, oh, like it was the first date. So I'm like, okay. And it was cool. It was nice. He was very he was a gentleman. I had a good time, but I kind of thought of like, yeah, we'll see where it goes. Maybe we'll go on a second date, but I didn't think of it as anything more than like, getting to meet someone that you had been connecting with on the dating apps. And little did I know, in their culture, if a man takes you out, y'all go together. What? And it's like a part, like half, okay, a part of that for those who are like, no, I'm looking for intentional daters. I'm looking for men who want to lead. That could be dope. On the other side, you're like, wait, you kind of feel blindsided because no one explained the rules. And there's like, there's no dating culture. It's like if a man takes you out, that means he's pursuing you, and therefore, like you're his until y'all don't work out anymore. And I kind of respected how like intentional that was. And I was like, yeah. And again, we'll probably do a separate video about the countries where that takes place in The Room. But it was very interesting because I think American culture, we're used to optionality. We don't want to take things too serious. We want to leave the door open. We don't want to put titles or labels. We even, you know, we have these phrases like, oh, we're seeing each other. Oh, we're hanging out. It's like, put a label on it. Like, this non-commitment or this fear of, everything's about ego preservation in the dating world today. So it's like the vulnerability of just being like, yeah, I'm pursuing you. That to me is really sexy. Okay. Third is that the culture clashes can sometimes create like everyday adventures. Whereas things like if you're dating in the US, like y'all know what it's like to go to, I don't know, you go to a basketball game, y'all know what a burger is. I mean, it's the same background, same history, same context. And that familiarity is also very nice and comforting. But when you're watching, I don't know, a comedy show and they talk about something and y'all are laughing for different reasons, you have to pause it and be like, wait, why did you find that funny? Because how do you know about it? And that could be hilarious. Sometimes it could probably be annoying, because you're not always on the same page, but it's also really funny because you get so many, there's almost all these like mini history lessons that happen because you're constantly reminded, yo, we grew up on opposite sides of the world. It is crazy that we have this similarity, but we think completely different about this. And it's not about right or wrong, just different. And you can really appreciate, I don't know, the cultural diversity between the two of you. And I think it's just kind of fun. Like simple activities can make everyday discoveries that much more interesting. And yes, there are also a lot of confusing and awkward moments in between all of that too. Um, and four, how do I say this one? Expectations. I feel like you are more assertive when you are dating abroad versus in the US. I'm projecting. I was more assertive. I was more assertive dating internationally than I was in the US. In the US, because I felt like many men were so afraid of commitment, and a lot of the dating stories that we saw in movies, on shows that we loved, Insecure, my goodness, it was just like these really toxic patterns and like just a lack of trust. And then you're seeing people constantly get cheated on and just, and it's this social conditioning of like, man, I can't really trust men. And you don't want to carry that with you. And so one of the things that I realized is like, I need to learn to trust men first, then build the friendship, and then see if there's room for romance. That does not sound sexy at all. I understand that. But the way I looked at it is there were three A's that I was coming into the dating world with: availability, alignment, and then attraction. I know. Availability. Are you single? Are you emotionally available? Are you ready to do the work required to be in partnership? Are you aligned? Do we have the same core values, characteristics, future desires, and goals? And then, is there attraction? Crazy enough, I think in our culture, we put attraction first. Like, the hotter someone is, the less we care about, honestly, their values, which is why I had to reverse it. I was like, no, 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 let me make sure, like, I actually know your heart and I know you as a person and I know your integrity. Like, I want to make sure that, yeah, I'm exchanging energy with someone that is fueling me back. And it's tough because you might, I don't know, this is again, I don't want to speak generally, but every now and then on Facebook, that one chick from high school or that one guy from high school, like the jock, but it's like these really attractive people that you remember from school, they married physically down, meaning that they were maybe tens, and then the person that they married were fives, fours, threes. And I hate to even say it like that because it's, we all have beauty in us, and beauty is also subjective. But conventionally attractive, um, according to the, certain standards that we uphold in our society, whether unspoken or not, people marry down sometimes. Sometimes the beautiful person marries down, whatever. And people might be like, oh, she could have done so much better. But I'm like, y'all don't know. That woman is taken care of, or that man ain't got to worry about nothing. He is fed, or that woman, like, yeah, she gets her feet rubbed every night. Attraction only goes so far. And the most attractive people, you'll come to learn that they often, not all, but they often don't feel like they need to do the internal work because externally everything is handed to them. When you use and rely on pretty privilege, you can get away with a lot. You can get away with murder. Things are handed to you, things are given to you, bodies are thrown at you. And even when there's someone that you really wanted and it doesn't work out, by the next day there's always a lineup. So pretty people don't have to worry about being alone. Like, they might feel alone inside, but if they always physically want someone, they can get them because society has, given them the upper hand, or the attractive people are just treated better. There's so many experiments, social experiments done on YouTube, you could even search, where people put on a costume or people, dress themselves up, and how much better they're treated. It's just the way things are. So I say all that to say, why did I say all of that? Oh, expectations. You are more forward and assertive. I am more forward and assertive because I felt like I didn't have, I don't want to say nothing to lose. Here's the thing, dating in the US felt scarce. It's like the good single people were snatched up already. So if you manage to find someone that was emotionally intelligent, self-aware, and available, you're like, well, let me not be too demanding. Let me not be too picky. Um, but this is again why I understand and respect the fact that a lot of women are choosing to be single. I get it because I don't want to say it's slim pickings, but if you are doing the work and you have cultivated a certain type of peace and you have built a life for yourself that, my goodness, you've always dreamed of, you deserve to continue to not only rest in that, but enjoy it at, at a level that is not chaotic. And relationships, as exciting and fun and amazing as they can bring a lot of stress, and it's a daily choice of choosing someone, a daily choice of doing the work, a daily choice of not giving up. So I get it. So I just found that, you have the US compared to the whole world. The whole world has, I mean, numbers wise, there was just so much more in the pool. So I didn't feel that scarcity almost. Like in the US, I'm like, oh, no, sorry, abroad, I'm like, oh, there's so many more men available. But yeah, in the US, I was like, ooh. I remember when I was in my early 30s, when I was using Bumble, so often I paid for premium because I'm the kind of person where I don't mind investing in optimal results. And I think one of the results for premium is that you get all of your preferences. So if I said man of God, over 5'9", I'm 5'9", um, somewhat active, and then I don't know, but like maybe I had like five preferences. And if you don't have premium, you get one preference. So, anyways, I had my five preferences on, and within 10 minutes, I swiped through the city. And Bumble kept telling me, maybe you should lower your preferences. I said, maybe you should go to hell. I was like, is this really? And then the next day it would load. I'm like, ooh, okay, some fresh meat, two people. And then I'd swipe left on both. Maybe you should lower your preferences. Every day I was being told to lower my preferences. And I have to be honest, and this is again videos that we'll be talking about in the room, but it probably took 1,000 swipes. No, let me say 100 swipes for one person that I would swipe right on, and 1,000 for 10 that are worth talking to. So it's really a numbers game. And when I think about Murphy's Law of numbers, I put the positive spin on it. Like it's a matter of time before someone who similar standards, similar vision, similar lifestyle, And I think sometimes we feel like if you're looking for a husband, if you're looking for marriage, we feel like the package has to come pre-wrapped. But many people who are married will tell you, like, oh no, we had to build the ribbon. We had to find the wrapping paper. We had to make the tape. A lot of what makes the gift and the presence of a person and just the package pretty, it's built, it's manufactured, it's cultivated over time, but we're opening the apps looking for the perfect presence. Uh, yeah, okay. And the final one that I realized is that it's really fair game for everyone because attraction, you almost like, there are some stereotypes, I think, but people that you never expected to notice you do. I'll be walking, like sometimes I get dressed up, when I go to church, going out with the girls, and I'll notice the Thai men will be looking. It's Men do this thing where they look at you longingly. It's not just, and I don't know, they just can't control it. It's just the funniest thing because it's like, pick up your pick up your jaw. And you're not even doing all that. But yeah, there's just this like longingness of like like shock, but also like wow, amazement. And yeah, I don't know that, Thai men are looking to marry black women, but it's interesting to see how they do stare. Um, Respectfully though. I would say their stares are one of the more respectful types than other other nationalities. This is the last public dating video I'm making. I struggled to get through this, but I hope there was some insight that you pulled away with. I do want to reiterate that dating abroad can be an incredible adventure. And even before I met Stefan, I still had a ton of fun. Like, I still learned so much about myself. I still was able to create just different versions of my future based on the person that I was with. And that's a really dope thing to think about. And those romantic love stories of people meeting, because they sat together on a plane, or you're having a solo adventure and you meet a guy that's having a solo adventure and you buddy up for the week. And those stories really do happen. And yeah, I want you to be open-minded. If you are looking to date, you're open to date. You don't have to, of course, but this video was highly recommended, and I'm excited to share more dating stories about what it's like dating as a Black woman. I have all of my worst Tinder messages, like how when I was using Tinder, and how the text messages that I would send to respectfully break up with men, or respectfully, yeah, I wouldn't say break up, but like decline a second or third date, cultural clashes that I learned the hard way, but just some of the more personal stories that I've never spoken about. I think I'm ready to share and talk about it in the room. So you'll see below this video, there's a button called join. Would love to have you there. The first video is already up on the inside. So yeah, if you're looking for just more intimate stories, dating stories, love stories, but also other things that you want to ask, yeah, join the room and I will see you there. All right, y'all. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts and check out yesterday's video. All right.